Hello everyone and welcome to another Mastering MFL video. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Development Center. Season 1 has just finished. You might be getting some new players in the store. Maybe some of them you want to send to the Development Center. So you need to know what is the Development Center and which players should you send there. So first I'll explain what it is, and at the end I'll share my thoughts. How do I use it personally, and maybe give you some tips how you can use it in the best way. So let's start with what is it? What is the Development Center? So it's a place to send free agents. So if some players have no club, you can still send them to the Development Center and enable them to still develop, to still progress, so they don't miss out on player progression. It's not free though. You have to pay a fee in MFL for their stay. So at a club you can earn MFL, or you maybe loan it out to a club you don't own and you earn MFL, but for this you have to pay. So there is a little twist. Then the duration, so you can, if you decide to send your players to the development center, you can choose whether you send them for 1 to 4 seasons. A longer stay is beneficial. Why? It is cheaper, there's lower costs, and also there's more progression. So if you send them for 1 season, you only get 60% XP, but 4 seasons, you get 120% XP. So that is quite beneficial. But one important note is that a player cannot leave early. So if you sign him up for 4 seasons, he is there for 4 seasons, you cannot get him back. And then about the fees, depends on a couple of factors how much you have to pay to send your player to the development center. In general, the higher the overall, the more you have to pay. So higher overall is more expensive. And it also depends on the player's age. So if it's younger, it's also more expensive than an older player. And finally, a longer duration is also cheaper. So those 3 factors influence that. So then we can look at the following table and see what does it look like in general. So you can see on the left side, if you send a player for 1 season, only 60% XP you can earn then, so not the full 100. There is a higher cost. And also you can see if you send a 16-year-old 70 rated there for 1 season, it's 1800 MFL. But a 25-year-old is 1100 MFL. So you can see it's cheaper the older they get. And then also for 4 seasons, you can see that it also gets relatively cheaper. So it's still more, of course, but if you do that 1100 times 4, you don't have to pay 4,400, but 33. So you pay, you get a big discount, 25% on the top of my head. And you can also see that if it's a lower overall, you also have cheaper prices down below. So a 50 rated, you only pay 85 MFL. So that is really cheap. But an 80 rated, you pay 8,500. So that's quite a lot of money. That's like $10 for 1 season to send a player there. So yeah, remember those things. Luckily, it will give you the rates when you choose to send them there. So it gets cheaper if you send them for longer. You get more XP. The higher the overall is, the more expensive. And the higher the age is, it gets less expensive. So all those factors play a role. Then the eligibility. So of course only free agents. Although if they played maybe 3 games that season, so you start a season, they play 3 games, but you notice they are not a good fit, you can still release them from that club and send them to the development center for the rest of the season. So that's good to know. Which players are ineligible are players above 30. Older than 30, you can send them there anymore. And legendary players are also not eligible. And players can enter the development center anytime before the mid-season transfer window. So right now, season 2 is about to start. You still have quite a long time to send them there. Even if you miss the first transfer window, no panic, you can still send them to the development center. What is important to know is that players cannot be sold, bought, or traded while they are in the development center. So if you really send them there, they are locked. Kind of, it's like staking, locking certain assets. What you see often with crypto, that is the case right here. And so another name for the development center is dev jail. They are really locked up in there. They cannot get out for the duration you put them there. They have to serve their sentence, let's say. So that's why we call it dev jail in the community. So a good question you should ask yourself is like, can you really miss them so long? That is one of the questions. The other one is maybe, is it smart to pay that money? More things good to know is that if you send them to development center, it's no guaranteed progression because that depends on the potential rating. So maybe check out my video about play progression to know how progression actually works. There's a lot of factors. The most important thing is potential. So if a player already reaches full potential and you send him there, he's not going to progress, even though you pay for it. So also a good thing to know. And they cannot exceed their pot. So they might get 120% XP and they go super fast with their development, but they cannot get better than the potential rating they have. And another very good note is that the XP is set at a flat rate. So if you do the 4 seasons and you have 120%, then each season they get 120% like flat. So it's highly likely then that they could reach their potential earlier. So not their prime age, they reach it earlier. So maybe your players are developing like crazy and then they stop in the development center. That is possible because they just reached their potential and they cannot develop any further. Another thing you should consider. Should you use it then? Should you use the development center? Well, I think it's perfect for low and young commons. Why? It's super cheap. We just saw it in that example. It's super cheap. They can gain a lot of XP and you can maybe spot, I called it. You can spot the potential very early on and then you still have a lot of time because they're also young. So maybe they are there from 8 to 22 and then you still have 10 years at least before they retire. So you can still use them for a long time. For me, a short stay is never worth it because you can just loan them out for 0% to any team if they're kind of okay, or maybe to your own team. You just add it to a better squad, like maybe player number 22, 23, 24, 25, they just sit there and they get 50% training XP already. So maybe let me show you that in my agency, how I use the development center. Who did I put there and why? And does it make sense? Do I regret decisions? Let's take a look at my agency. All right, so here we are in the development center and you can see all the players I sent to the development center. And you probably already notice a trend that they are all very young and very bad. That's pretty much what it comes down to. So like a 52 rated, 52, 56, 48, 50, 54. So why did I send them there is because they could never play at an ice club and young players need to play. So I don't think they had any chance of playing time. Then there's still the option to maybe just add them to a random team and not let them play and get 50% from the training. But you want such young talents, you want to see, are they really super talented or not? Plus, it was very cheap to put them there for me. So yeah, I put them all for like 4 seasons in there. And some of them are really doing well, others not so much. But yeah, I can lock them for 4 years. When they come out, they're still around 22. And what I said, then they have still 10 years to play. So it doesn't cost a lot. They get way more XP. And you really know what to do with this player then after that. This guy is a bit older, a goalie, an 18-year-old, 63-year-old goalie. I also think for most clubs he would never ever play. So I locked him here for 2 seasons, and that's also because I had a free pass. So sometimes you can win, also with Christmas in your advent calendar, you can win some free development passes. I use it for this guy. And this dude, Calvo, is also 62, but that is because he already progressed +5. So I put him there at 57. He wouldn't have a playing chance at 57, probably. But suddenly he started progressing like crazy, +5. So let's see what happens after 4 seasons. This is really a talent to watch. And the same with this guy who progressed +6. He started at 51. We can maybe look at it. he started at 51 and he progressed like crazy. Although now he reached a little bit of a plateau. So maybe he even reached already his full potential. There's a big chance, but he's done very well, and now he's still in there for 3 more seasons. 57, again, young player, no playing chance. That's why I put these guys here. So I would advise everyone with low comments like 50, 51, 52. If they're young, put them there. Also, if they're a bit older, just put them there. It doesn't cost a lot. So I think that's a good investment. And another option, what you can do is just put some of those low comments in your squads. So if you look at my squad, you see legendary, rares, and then suddenly 4 pretty random comments. So why did I put them there? Is because you save MFL, because you don't send them to the development center. So 50% they get from training. They get the full 50% training. They still develop a little bit. And also in some matches I will use them if I'm already through in the cup or I got already knocked out in the cup. Then I just play them because the result doesn't matter anymore. So then even they could get maybe 55%, 60% of the XP. So that's why I do that. They don't have, maybe I don't want to pay for the development center. So this is kind of a cheap option to still get some development out of your players for free. And another thing I do, so if we go back, another thing I do to get kind of cheaper progression than sending them to the development center is just loaning them out for very low percentages. So if we look at the contract here, and you can see that a lot of guys, okay, this is the wrong example because those used to be my teams, but here we go to other teams that I don't own. And you can see some I loan out for 0.1%, a lot for 1%. So I just offer them for very low percentages. Then they will play at some ice clubs. And then these comments are useful. They get XP by playing, matches by training, and I also don't pay. So instead of paying the development center, I let them gain a tiny bit, and they also get more XP than that 60%. So hopefully this will give you some indications about the development center, like should you send them, should you not send them. You can do the strategy with the low rev share, but I think with older players that is better. Younger players, you want to make sure they gain a lot of XP and that they get maybe this 120%. So for the young, super young commons, I would send them to development center. Older, lower commons, just loan them out for super low percentages or put them in one of your own teams. So in conclusion, the development center is a perfect place for low and young commons. I should have removed the brackets there for low commons, young commons that you can put there for relatively low fee, pretty cheap, and they get this 120% XP, and then they get out and you still have quite a lot of years and maybe they turned into a nice high common or lower uncommon. With higher commons and uncommons, I would say loan them out to other teams and network with those managers, make sure they play maybe at a class to the contract to guarantee that they are playing, and or maybe offer a super low percentage rev share that you also guarantee that they're playing. So make some deals, talk to other maybe agents in ICE, and instead of paying the development center, you can choose to not earn but still get all the progression out of players. So hopefully this gave you some ideas. Thank you for watching and see you next time.